Howdy musicians, welcome back. So a while ago we talked about how to build major scales using a whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half pattern. Meaning that we're going to be using a combination of whole steps and half steps to walk our way through the notes and figure out which notes we need for any given scale. We start on the one, we go up a whole step, go up a whole step, and so forth, right? Today we're going to do exactly the same thing, but for minor scales. The process is going to be very similar, but we're going to be going through a different set of whole steps and half steps. So instead of being whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, the pattern is going to be a completely different pattern. For minor scales, that pattern is going to be whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. Okay? So that's the pattern that we're going to be using. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, go back and watch the major scale video that we did, and that'll give you an idea as to how this process is going to work. But today is all about the dark side. It's just minor scales. So let's go ahead and dive in. But before we do, if this is your first time here, welcome to Music Theory for Musicians. This is what we do here. We talk about music theory concepts and principles in a way that's easy to understand that you can use to start playing music with other people. If you like what we do here, give this video a thumbs up and click subscribe so you can stay tuned for all the other videos coming out in the future. Okay, back on the guitar again this time, and we're going to go through it the same way we did last time. We're going to progress up from this open string all the way up to the 12th fret, or the octave. So we actually get to see all of the whole steps and half steps going up the neck. And then we'll talk about how to actually play it as a real scale in a minute. But let's start with the key of E. So if we have an E note, we can build an E minor scale by just using this pattern of whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. So let's try it. We have an E note, and then we're going to go up a whole step, which is 2 frets or 2 notes, and that gets us to an F sharp. Then we go up a half step, and now we go up another whole step or 2 frets. And now we go up another whole step, a half step, another whole step, and then we finish with a whole step. So we have an E, then we go up a whole step to F sharp, then a half step to G, then a whole step to A, and now we go up a whole step to B, a half step to C, a whole step to D, and now a whole step to E. So that's E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, and now we're back to E. Okay, so let's try one more open string. Let's do a D minor scale. So we're going to start on D, then we go up a whole step to E, then a half step to F, then a whole step to G, a whole step to A, a half step to B flat, then a whole step to C, and then a whole step brings us right back to D. So we have a D, then a whole step to E, a half step to F, then a whole step to G. Then we have a whole step to A, a half step to B flat, a whole step to C, and now a final whole step to a D. So we have D, E, F, G, A, B flat, C, D. And that's a D minor scale. Okay, so now let's take one of these and look at it the way we would actually play it on the guitar, because we're not going to be moving all over the neck that much when we're really playing. So let's take an A minor scale. Let's start on this open A string, and we're going to go across the fretboard this way instead. So we have an A, and then we go up a whole step to B, then a half step to C, now a whole step up to D, but I'm going to go to this open string, then a whole step up to E, and now a half step to F, and then a whole step up to G, but I'm going to go to this open G, and now a whole step to bring us back to A. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And that's our A minor scale. So now for a change of scenery, let's hop on over to the piano and take a look at how some of these scales would work over there. Let's just do a couple of keys over here on the piano, but if you want to see every minor scale that we can build with this pattern, check out my Patreon page. Over there we have an exclusive PDF that you can download that has every single minor scale that you'll be able to build, and we'll have an exclusive video where you can actually play along with me as we build all 15 of these keys. We'll be going through every one of them here on the piano. So check that out. The link to the Patreon page will be in the description below. Let's get rolling here. Okay, so let's do a couple keys that we didn't do on the guitar a minute ago. Let's start with G minor. So let's take a G note, and we're just going to build the same whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole pattern over here. So start on a G, and we're going to go up a whole step to A, and then a half step to B flat. And then we go up a whole step to C, a whole step to D, a half step to E flat, now a whole step to F, and then a final whole step back to G. So we have G, whole step to A, half step to B flat, whole step to C, whole step to D, half step to E flat, whole step to F, and then a final whole step back to G. So G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat, F, G. Okay, so let's do another key now. Let's do C minor. So let's start on a C note here, and same process. C, we go up a whole step to D, and then we have a half step to E flat, and then a whole step to F. And now we have another whole step to G, a half step to A flat, a whole step to B flat, and now a whole step back to our starting note, C. So let's do that again. C, whole step to D, half step to E flat, whole step to F, whole step to G, half step to A flat, whole step to B flat, and now a whole step back to C. Okay, and let's do one more over here. Let's do the key of F sharp minor. So let's start on an F sharp note, and then we're going to go up a whole step to G sharp, and then a half step to A, and now a whole step to B, a whole step to C sharp, then a half step to D, a whole step to E, and then a final whole step back to F sharp. So let's do that again. Starting on F sharp, we go up a whole step to G sharp, half step to A, whole step to B, whole step to C sharp, half step to D, whole step to E, and then a final whole step to F sharp. And again, if you want to see all 15 of these scales, follow me over to Patreon and join us over there. Now let's hop back over to the guitar. So now that we've done the major version and the minor version, the major version being whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, and the minor version being whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole. Since we've done both of these patterns now, it's really useful to go back and forth between these, practicing them so that you're equally fluent in the minor and the major. So let's take any random key, let's say the key of F, and we're going to go through the whole, whole, half pattern to get our major scale, and then we're going to go through the whole, half, whole pattern to get our minor scale. So let's do the major first. So let's grab an F note, and we're going to go up a whole step from F to G, and now we're going to go up a whole step to A, and then a half step to B flat. Then we'll go up a whole step to C, then a whole step to D, one last whole step to E, and then a half step to F. Okay, so that gets us an F major scale. F, whole step to G, whole step to A, half step to B flat, whole step to C, whole step to D, whole step to E, and now a half step back to F. Okay, now let's do the minor version, same starting point. So the notes will be different, but we're still starting on an F. So now let's use the whole, half, whole pattern. So we're going to start on F, and now we're going to go up a whole step to G, but this time we're going to go a half step to A flat. Now we go up a whole step to B flat, and a whole step to C, a half step to D flat, then a whole step to E flat, and one final whole step to F. So that's F, whole step to G, half step to A flat, whole step to B flat, whole step to C, half step to D flat, whole step to E flat, and then a whole step brings us back to F. I would urge you to practice this way, even if you have another way that you normally think about scales, whether it's the number of sharps in something or just the positioning on your instrument. I would urge you to practice scales this way anyway, because it really is a good way to think about things sometimes. If you just need a quick scale that you're not familiar with at all, it's the quickest way that I know to just build a scale from scratch. But more importantly, it actually gives you a really good understanding of the interval relationships between the notes. For instance, the distance between your third and your fourth is actually a whole step in the minor scale. We're used to it being a half step in the major scale, but when we go to minor, the third to the fourth is actually going to be a whole step. When you're in the middle of improvising on something and you go to play that note, in order to not miss it, it's helpful to know that that's a whole step. Knowing that your fifth to your sixth is actually a half step in the minor key is something that's important to remember. So practicing these in terms of whole steps and half steps really gives you a better understanding of the musical alphabet and how this particular key works as well. Well, thank you guys for watching. As always, I hope you learned something in this video. Don't forget to check out the Patreon page where you can download a PDF reference of all 15 minor scales that we can play, as well as a Patreon exclusive video where I walk you through how to build all 15 of these minor scales using the method that we just did. It's a play along video so you can grab your instrument and dive right in with it. Don't forget to check that out. You guys practice hard and we'll see you in the next one.